episode of Season 2, I talked to Neil Smith, founder of Charity Boots. Charity Boots collects unwanted used and new football boots and donates them to less fortunate children in the UK and around the world. I specifically chose Charity Boots as, unlike apparel, football boots are multi-component products and they cannot currently be recycled, which makes extending their product life even more important. In this episode, we discuss the impact of Charity Boots, not only in keeping boots out of landfill, but also the social impact providing a child with boots brings, and how reducing financial barriers is key to participation in sport. We discuss the role of clubs and brands and their responsibility when it comes to sustainability, and how fans and local community should be at the heart of what clubs do. It's clear from this episode that Neil is passionate about making a difference and believes Charity Boots is a go-to solution to positive change. And if you need to be convinced why, just wait for his answer on why football boots are exactly the same as lasagna. Enjoy. Welcome to the Five Thread podcast. I am so excited to have Neil from Charity Boots join us today. I wondered if you could start by giving us a bit of an introduction into what Charity Boots is, but also yourself.
Well, thank you, Joe, for having me on your podcast. I really appreciate the opportunity to share our journey and our values. We're all in this together. We live in this beautiful round bubble of our planet and in this vast universe, and we are all connected. So we are all responsible in doing the right thing for ourselves and for our children and for future generations. So Charity Boots, really, it started in 2015, but there's more to Charity Boots, obviously. We're all individuals here and we all have life experiences that mold us to become who we are in life. But I don't want to get into too much about myself. But I am a football coach by nature. I've been coaching for about 23 years. And football's always been everything in my life. So the idea came to me by doing a trip to Colombia with my wife at the time. She's never visited Colombia. And I said to her, you know what, let's take a suitcase worth of football boots with us, and we can actually give it back to the kids out there. Because it was always in my upbringing to give back. My mum always, when we used to visit family in Colombia, it was always one bag for us and one bag for others. You know, it was just part of nature for us to kind of do charity. So it was nothing different in my case. It was just, in this case, was football boots. So that's where it really started, 2015. And since then, we have grown pretty big. And we have a massive footprint now in the UK and across the world. But yeah, so Charity Boots, it's about reusing and donating used football boots because many people don't know what to do with their used football boots, and they tend to end up in the bin and in landfill to cut it short. So we tend to work with the public and professional football clubs and grassroots clubs and also schools in collecting used boots that people don't know what to do. So really, it's a simple concept, but very effective because no one's doing it at the level that Charity Boots is doing it. So really, it's all about making football equal for everyone that can actually want to participate. But on the flip side, it's something that's very good for the environment because we are looking to avoid landfill, like we said, and potentially we're looking for new partners that can actually help us recycle the boots that can't be donated. So it's a full cycle, really. And as you know, football is the biggest sport in the world. We can talk about this afterwards, but it's a huge market, and the world's biggest brands in the world are all about football. So we're tapping into this. So it's a long journey, and it's all about working together, really, in the way I see it. It's not a one-man vision or one-person, ambition. It's all about working together for the greater good. So I'm just doing my part, really.
And when you say kind of working together, who are the other kind of key partners that you have working with you?
Wow. So the list is pretty big. Um, so the key partners. Let's talk about the club. So, for example, Everton Football Club is one of our main supporters. I'm very grateful for Everton's support. They really go out their way. The PR department, they have given us permission to have a collection bin outside the football stadium. I believe it's the only club in the Premier League, just to use the Premier League as an example, that have a collection bin outside the stadium to collect, in this case, boots. I couldn't tell you any other club that does that. So I'm very grateful for them to kind of be the pioneers, in a sense, as helping Charity Boots be able to collect boots from their fans. We work with Arsenal Football Club. We work with Tottenham Hotspurs. We work with Cambridge United, and we have collection bins at Wembley. Um, so it's going. It's ongoing. Every week or every day, I wake up and I got emails from different organisations, small ones or big ones. So you just never know what's around the corner, who wants to get involved. It's a very easy charity to get involved. Everyone can get involved because everyone can do their part. But our biggest partner to kind of promote really is DHL. DHL have come on board to support us, and what DHL have done, which is also unheard of, is they've given us free shipping across the UK. So anyone across the UK, some of your listeners, anyone that comes across the charity can donate their boots for free, up to 20 kilos, which is quite a lot of weight. 20 kilos equals about 40 pairs of boots, roughly. So since the partnership with DHL, it's kind of been the icing on the cake. It's exactly what I visualized 9 years ago. Funny enough. And I wouldn't want any other partner apart from DHL because they're great. I'm not trying to promote them, but they really are fantastic, and their vision for the future is all about going green, being sustainable, and using hydropower or using electric power to power their vehicles.
That's incredible. And, I've done a bit of research on kind of reuse organizations. And one of the key things is like the logistics of you get people who are really eager to donate and there's a lot of goodwill, but those logistics and the expense of kind of getting it from A to B often are quite big barriers. Um, so I just wondered also with the clubs and with kind of DHL, did you find as soon as you had these conversations, everybody was quite willing to get on board? Or has it been a bit of a kind of slow burn that's taken a bit more time where as we've understood what the impact is, people now get it? Or did most people kind of understand it from the start?
It's a great question because there's different layers to it. So Everton are kind of like in their own platform, in a sense of how willing to go out their way to help. So I could just email their PR department and they can send out a tweet or send out a message on their website about the cause or the campaign. I don't want to name other clubs, but there's some that even though they approached Charity Boots and were willing to come on board, and they came to the charity, you get very excited and you think, oh wow, these people are gonna, this club or the organization is gonna get behind it, and the sky's the limit. We're gonna place some bins in their stadium and so forth. So it's almost it's not that simple because there's so many layers to professional football. There's a lot of money and sponsorships and departments to go through, a lot of layers, so it's quite complex. You would think it's a simple transition because really, if you think a bit about the bigger picture, all we're doing is trying to place a bin at the academy or at the club that can basically work itself. Just put the bin there, that's what it is, and move away. And just talk about it, promote it, tell the parents and the fans where the bin is, and the rest is self-explanatory. But it's not that simple. So we are just collecting people's rubbish. In if you look at the bigger picture, we're not collecting brand new boots, even though we do get donated brand new boots. But the reality is, I'm trying to collect people's rubbish. In this case, old used football boots. So back to your question, it different clubs work in different ways. Some really go out their way. Um, so we have an event coming up on Saturday at Barnet Football Club. So they have like an open day family event. They're going to have your trampolines and bouncy castles and hot dogs and stuff like that. But they're also promoting the charity. So they're telling all their fans, look, when you come down for this family event, bring your old boots. That's the kind of stuff that we need. Really, is for clubs to kind of really add and think of the cause and to promote it really. So, but yeah, nothing's perfect. You're going to get the rough with the smooth. The main thing is that we're fully driven by helping others. That's what gives me energy. And things can change for the better. So I'm optimistic that things will change and clubs will get kind of the sense from others that, okay, this maybe we need to fix up and maybe improve how we are supporting this charity.
Definitely. And I think that's something that's kind of come up before is, especially with bigger clubs, they tend to be quite siloed, so commercial department, sustainability department, and potentially retail are all kind of in their own bubbles. And sometimes the conversation between them around these things isn't there. And so it's interesting to kind of hear that potentially that can create a barrier sometimes. And actually communication throughout the club is really important to drive some of these initiatives. I did wonder how you think that the football industry can do more in this area. What's their responsibility around it?
Wow, the football responsibility is huge in my eyes, because of the impact that they have in people's lives day to day. My two boys, one of them's 5.5 and one of them's 3.5. They watch football, they play football, they sleep football, they eat football. Everything's football, football, football. So our young generations are part of this conveyor belt. They're part of this industry. They're part of this way of life. It's entertainment, the reality, but it doesn't just finish on entertainment. There's more to it. So I believe they should have a huge responsibility, because it's not just about the income that they create and the generate and stuff like that, but the community. I believe they should be supporting the local community to start with. A club without a community is not a club. I'm sorry. You need fans. Without the fans turning up every week, buying tickets and buying drinks and food, it's not sustainable. So, but then there's the waste factor that we are kind of trying to tackle here. It's a huge, massive problem. And what I'm doing, it's just one what would you call it, one piece of the puzzle that I'm trying to fix. And it's definitely what I'm trying to create here with Charity Boost. It's definitely a solution, because we're avoiding landfill and we're giving back to the ones that are less fortunate around the world, not just in the UK, but in Africa and South America. But yeah, clubs definitely have a responsibility in my eyes, because most clubs are based in the community, like in the hub, and they should be contributing and giving back in many ways possible. Obviously through employment, but at the same time, there's a lot of barriers, and the barriers in a lot of cases are to do with finance, and parents can't maintain the subscription for their child to attend football, or they don't have the means to buy some football boots. So it all works hand in hand, and we should all be having the same conversation around the same table about how can we give back. It's not just about give and me. It's about, okay, what about others? And I'm conscious about that. I'm constantly thinking about others. Um, so yeah, 100% clubs and the federation in itself, FIFA and UEFA and the Premier League and all the leagues in the world should be doing way more, and I think they will. It's just having these conversations, and they need to really consider that football has the power to change for the positive changes.
Definitely. And to put you on the spot here, but if I was to kind of give you a magic wand, or I was going to give you the opportunity to speak to those, bosses who make those decisions, what would be the one thing that you would want to see change? Like a really practical action that you would want to see clubs change or implement?
I think finance. So they should basically support local communities, by fixing up facilities and giving kids opportunity to potentially join a team that for free because they can't afford it. I think things like that are a bit more impactful than just giving someone a t-shirt, or giving someone a match ticket for one event. It should be something that's rolling on every year as they grow up, so it's something that's part of their life. So, giving someone something, a lollipop or a bag, a little goodie bag, if anything, it's just adding more waste. But being a bit more on the ground level, um, and something to offer them in this case opportunity to play football in their local area. I think those clubs will have more respect from the community because they can see it day to day. It's every day. It's that presence. That facility over there got built by Spurs, or that facility over there got built by Brentford, and it's there. It's not moving anywhere. It's always going to be there. It's like any ancient artifact that's been left thousands of years ago. It's still there, and we can enjoy it now. So you want something. I would like to see FIFA and UEFA and all the governing bodies in the world to have more impactful ground level um, changes that can lead through other generations and other generations. Something like, say, when I was a kid, that was there, and now you're using it. That is more of an impact, and it helps obviously reduce crime. It helps reduce antisocial behavior, but it'll reduce a lot of social problems on the ground level, and more positive changes moving forward.
And also what I'm hearing is that consistency, that you don't just get a club doing some kind of one-off event or implementation and then they kind of leave it, and even if something is built, it's not maintained, for example. It's like consistency of investment within communities that I'm hearing is really important. And I think we talk loads about environmental sustainability, but we don't really talk about social sustainability
Yeah,
and the impact of like reducing barriers, especially cost barriers, and how participation in sport really creates opportunities, and there's the data to support that. And I
yeah,
kind of feel like there is a really clear responsibility there in terms of, sharing that finance in a more fair and ethical way within that community. And I think it's also that link to who's in need within the community, that link to grassroots and staying connected so you actually know where the need is. you know i
exactly.
think I think that's so important. um, I wanted to dig into a little bit of some of the challenges and the barriers that you have faced and where you've also seen certain opportunities, because when I speak to a lot of reuse organizations, they've been started because somebody sees something that is wrong or something that can be changed. And it's very much often led by passion and purpose of that individual, where they see something and think, actually, there's a better way to do this. And with that comes kind of very strong and driven people, but it also means that they are often driving something independently without a lot of funding, without a lot of finance. So I just wondered if you can kind of talk us through that journey of kind of starting Charity Boots and some of the challenges that you've encountered along the way.
That's great. You asked some amazing questions. I'll tell you that now. Challenges. I think every day is a challenge, really. I've been promised many things, and then you're just left with egg in your face, in a sense. I've been reached out by organizations that are in the football industry, huge ones, and they can see the crossover from what they're doing to what we're doing, and it's almost like a no-brainer. You think, oh, this is perfect. This is a perfect relationship. This is a perfect partnership, and this is going to work. I need them, they need me to be able to roll out these ideas and initiatives in the communities across the country, and it just ends up at a block road. Doesn't move forward from there, and almost the communication just dies down. that happens too much.
Mm.
You know, I know in my heart I'm doing something good. I've done it for 9 years, and I'll carry on with zero funding. But I know there's good days ahead for sure. I know that for a fact. You know, we can't just carry on like this. Um, but the yeah, so there's been a lot of disappointments in that sense of challenges, because when opportunities arrive, you grab them and you run with it. But when it doesn't lead to anything, it just kind of makes you more thick-skinned, if that makes sense.
Mm.
It's just a little dent, but you kind of you recover very quickly. So those are challenges when when you've been promised the world and it doesn't turn up to anything, but you just keep going forward. You keep helping people.
Mm.
Um, but finance definitely for sure. I think that will be anyone's answer. Either you're running a business or you're running a charity. You need funding, sponsorship.
Mm.
So that is the biggest challenge. We have put a few funding applications and not been successful for whatever reason. One of the excuses was we're not community based, and I'm like, you couldn't get more community based than Charity Boots, because we donate to the community. We keep dreams alive. We try and uh, make football accessible for anyone. Um, so yeah, those are the challenges: funding, sponsorships, and just being promised by organizations that can actually make a huge impact and a huge change, um, not lead to anything. So yeah,
And I think maybe that leads into silos again of sometimes big organizations. There's sometimes just too many people that don't talk to each other, and
yeah,
then it kind of get passed around. But I think also people underestimate the amount of work that it takes to do a funding application. Like if anybody's filled in a funding bid, it takes so much work and effort, and to not know that you're going to necessarily get that funding or not have clear feedback on what potentially wasn't successful in it, it takes a lot of kind of time, but also energy, you know.
absolutely,
And when you talk about, you've done this on no funding, sometimes I get really frustrated because I feel like organizations like yours are picking up what is essentially a problem
yeah,
where brands are producing stock, and it might be overstock, so it might be brand new boots that you're getting, or it's something where the first users finish with them and the brand takes no responsibility for that. They don't necessarily have take back schemes, and essentially this may just be dumped. It might end up in a charity shop, but we know only about 30% of what goes into a charity shop is actually sold. Often it's sorted and then it's going to secondary markets, a lot of them in Africa. So without you within this scenario, a lot of this stuff would be going overseas, which might be received and then actually considered waste once it's over there, ending up in landfill or being incinerated. And brands take little to no responsibility of this. And what we see from kind of EU legislation is that there'll be a toughening up of legislation around fashion, clothing, and textiles. And without you in this picture, actually, brands will have to change significantly because there'll be financial penalties, unless they really consider the full life cycle of their product. But yet, you don't get any funding,
yeah,
from brands, and it's very much, your motivation, your personal passion to continue this that keeps it going. Nobody's coming to you with like a blank check and saying,
no,
thanks, Neil, here you go,
I
here's some
wish,
money from this brand. um, and that frustrates me because if we don't have people like you, where does the problem go? And often the problem is hidden by brands and clubs because they just don't want to deal with it. Or it's passed on to the first customer who buys those boots. And, I'm a mum of two. I wouldn't know what to do with my kids' football boots when I'd finished with them.
yeah,
I'd probably just, pass them off to a charity shop, and
yeah,
then it's somebody else's problem type thing. So I do really think there is a argument to say that brands should step up and really support reuse organizations, and I would say that to any kind of brands listening, we see this disconnect between people like you who are doing this great work and mega multi-million pound brands who don't take responsibility. And with that, I just kind of wanted to talk about the impact that you have in terms of why this work is so important and why it needs to be done. Because, I've gone on your website, I've read some of the projects that you work with, but what you do is life changing to some of the people who receive these boots. So I just wondered if you could share some of those stories about that impact that having these football boots actually has on the people who receive them.
Yeah. It's quite emotional. What I do is giving me I've created my own tears sometimes. I'm like, I've changed these kids' lives, and I see the videos and I see the content, and it's put tears in my eyes so many times. So that's what drives me. It really gives me goosebumps. Uh, the whole cause and being able to help these kids. Just in the UK, we have 4.5 million children living under the poverty line, which is, for me, it shouldn't be the case. We live in the UK, and it's a rich country. There should be no 4.5 million children live in the poverty line. I don't know I should know, but I don't know what the numbers are in Africa. But I'm guessing it's in the hundreds of millions of children living in below the poverty line, let alone having a pair of boots. They don't even have food. Um, so it's a massive problem. It's a massive problem, and we can only do our part. And like you mentioned, these brands, it's a no brainer for them to be able to support the charity boots. All they have to do is put collection bins in their stores. That's it, and potentially donate 1p per shoe if they want to. If they want to go
Mm.
minimum, they can donate 1 pence per item that a customer buys, or there could be an incentive where you donate your boots and you get a discount back. So it's a
Mm.
win-win for the shop because you can drop your boots there, and then the brand can give you a discount, a 5% discount on your next purchase. Win-win. And then we get the old boots and we can donate them to the ones that don't have. So also a win-win. And then the environment uh, side of it, it's also a win-win because we're avoiding landfill, and we can potentially work with some universities and some smart scientists out there to see how we can break down these boots because they'll come in different components. Um, so yeah, so this is the beginning, really. Even though it's 9 years in, we're still at the beginning stage.
Mm.
It is a quite a new phenomenon, to be fair, because plastic bottles have been recycled for many years now, and other items, but football boots, no one's really talking about it. So um, we are affiliated with quite a lot of players. A lot of professional players are affiliated with charity boots clubs, as you mentioned. But the end game here is to start at the top of the pyramid, and the top of the pyramid is FIFA and UEFA, and this should be just kind of trickled down um, through all the levels. So charity boots becomes a solution.
Mm.
Like you mentioned, Joe, just now, you don't even know what to do with your old boots until now. Now you know
Mm.
that we exist, and you can use our free link through DHL, through our website, and you can ship them for free. So there are solutions. It's just people really need to start acting now and making it
Mm.
happen now, not tomorrow, not next year. It's a simple fix. Everyone has a neighbor or someone in their family or a friend or a colleague that has kids. You don't have to have kids, but you might know someone that's got kids, and they will have football boots. Um, and most probably those boots will be underneath their cupboards, yeah, underneath the stairs or somewhere hidden. So yeah, so we can all contribute and we can all make a difference, really, and that's what drives me. The reality is that just it's a very high impact emotional roller coaster because you can see the genuine smiles that you're putting in these kids' faces in Africa and in South America and in the UK. It's life changing, and uh, equality is it's a massive thing here. And from in my opinion, I think too many kids don't live a fair life. They don't have the right share in their life to be able to actually potentially make their dreams come true. And I don't see why we can't do that. It doesn't matter how far you are around the world. Everyone should have the same opportunity to have the same opportunities I have. And we live in the modern world now, and the transport system is way better than it used to be 100 years ago. So getting around the globe in a sustainable way is going to be possible somewhere down the line. So opportunities should match that. And I'm just driving. I'm just kind of waving that wand right now to let others know that be considerate. Think of others. Don't throw it away. Give it to us, and we can pass them on to others. But yeah, we do need help, absolutely, absolutely, sponsorship wise.
And create that opportunity for change,
Yeah,
like, because essentially that's what you're doing. Sport is a great vehicle for opportunity. When you play sport, especially in a team, you're learning life skills that are going to help you in whatever you do going forward. And there's few other things in life that have that power of sport, that give you those skills. And if you can't play because you physically don't have the correct, clothing or boots to be able to do that, you know, there's nothing more like unequal than than creating those barriers to be able to participate in something that can be life changing. And it sounds to me like here is a really simple and effective solution, especially when you have somebody like DHL removing those things that make it hard and providing that convenience by removing those cost barriers to send you the boots. um, I kind of wanted to dig into the practical side of this, because this is something that I've witnessed. I've been in quite a lot of reuse warehouses, but not a lot of people maybe know about actually when you receive the boots, what do you need to do? What condition are they in? There's quite a lot of work that
yeah.
must go into actually sorting those and potentially cleaning them. So, what is it like after you receive the boots, and what's that process like for you?
Um, so yeah, there's a process, obviously. I will say 80. It varies, but I'll say 80% of the boots we receive are filthy, they're dirty, muddy, dry mud. It could be mud from 20 years ago. I get boots that are classic boots. So you think, wow, I remember these boots when I was a kid, like the old Predators and stuff like that.
Mm.
So Um, so there's a process, as you can imagine. Yes, unpacking the boxes from the DHL and bags and stuff like that, and then we'll sort them out in what needs to be clean and what doesn't. So that's a quick fix. Boom, 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 big piles. And the cleaning process is pretty simple. We use traditional big buckets. The reason for that, a lot of people say, "Oh, why don't you use washing machines?" No, because one, you're using electricity, and number two, you're using tons and tons and tons of water, and it's not an economical, sustainable way of doing it. So we use just simple warm water or cold, and fairy liquid, magic fairy liquid, and a brush, big hard brush that you can scrub all the mud off, and it does the job. How long does it take? I'll ask you a question. How long do you think it takes to clean a pair of boots?
I mean, I would say it depends how well you do it. I mean, I could probably clean them in about 5 minutes, but
Okay.
they wouldn't be great. But I mean, I think to do a proper job and also to be willing to give that to somebody else is very different. Do
Yeah.
you know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
If I clean something for my own child, I'm like, it will do.
Yeah.
But if I clean something that I know it's going to go to somebody else, I would want to do a proper job.
Yeah.
And actually, I think that probably takes more around like 20 minutes or something like
You're
that.
quite spot on. 5 to 10 minutes is your average time to clean a pair of boots. So you can imagine how time consuming it is. So you do need volunteers to help you. But yeah, simple as that. We scrub them down, and then we spray them with antiseptic to kill any bacteria or anything inside the boots, and we let it dry. So there's a process, and then the next second or third process will be to sort them out into sizes. So we know, what sizes, size one and size two, size three boxes. So it's all ready to kind of be able to distribute. And in some cases, the boots need laces, so we can add some laces to them. We try and reuse what we have, so I don't need to go and buy new laces. So for example, the boots that doesn't cut it for donating and will be able to use those for recycling, we have a batch, so a big massive bin with boots that need to be recycled. But those boots, we've taken out all the laces, we've taken out all the studs underneath, so we can reuse them for other boots that don't have, if that makes sense. um, so yeah, there are processes, but what we don't have right now is a genuine solution for recycling. So we're not throwing them away because that would be a crime. So we're keeping them until we can actually find the right partner that can actually help us to be able to recycle these boots into something new, potentially new boots or potentially something completely different. Um, but from my own conversations and investigation, it's not as simple as that. Just to get them shredded, and there's different components to it, obviously. So we're working on that, and we are looking to potentially speak to Oxford and Cambridge University to see if there's anyone there that can specialize in this that could potentially help us to see, hey, what can we do with these boots? Because there has to be a solution. And the way I see things in life, there's always a solution. Always, there's never a no. Um, that's why I don't like a no, because there's always a solution. Nothing works as no. There has to be either a yes or we'll look into it. But it can't be a straight no. So yeah,
Yeah, it's like I tell my kids, it just hasn't been done yet.
yet.
No, yet. But yeah, and I will definitely raise that with Loughborough as well
Oh
because
yes,
yeah,
we got a collection bin there actually at Loughborough University.
amazing. Well, I
Yes,
will champion this.
yes, please.
Um, but yeah, I've spoken to people at Sakito, for example, who are also facing this issue as to what do you do with these boots at the end of life, because unlike clothing, football boots are multi-component. They're not going to biodegrade. You know, at the moment they're practically unrecyclable. So there is a big issue around what happens to this, and this is why things like responsibility and legacy and accountability is so important, because it's not like they're going anywhere. They're still going to be around in hundreds of years unless we either invest in solutions to recycle or we extend that product life in a sensible way. But when I was listening to you talk, the amount of labor that goes into this is immense. And you mentioned like volunteers, and essentially people are giving up their time
Yeah,
for free to facilitate this. And again, it leads into that question of responsibility. If those volunteers weren't there or you weren't driving this, essentially we'd end up with loads of football boots just going to waste and being dumped.
exactly.
And I think when clubs are being pushed around their sustainability policies and being asked to implement more and more sustainable actions, this is a bit of an easy win for a lot of them. And from listening to you, it's not like you're asking for anything unreasonable.
No.
1 penny in a sale of football boots to me is a really reasonable ask, for example. But I think it's a real call and shout out for anybody listening to this that organizations like yours need support and to get in touch, but get in touch if you are sincere about this relationship and not kind of time wasting and having conversations. It's got to be genuine that you want to take this forward, because essentially, it's a very small team. It's you who's driving it, and you need to make sure that the time you invest in creating these collaborations actually go on to do or to support the good work that you do. Um, I wondered, as we kind of coming to a bit of a close with this, is there anything that you would want to kind of talk about that we haven't mentioned, or anything that you would really like to?
Yeah, I think we spoke about brands, and we received, let's say, 50 pairs of boots from Umbro a while back. And it's always been at the back of my mind, what do companies like Adidas and Nike and New Balance and Puma, what do they do with any old stock they have?
Mm,
And what do they do with any type of boots that have any slight little defects that then they can't sell? We are that solution.
mm,
We'll find feet for them at no cost for them. Um, so that's always been the back of my mind, and I've always wanted to speak to someone regarding this. Like, what do they have in their plans to, how to get rid of what they don't want to have and make space for their new stock?
mm,
I know the solution because, like I said, I just mentioned, charity boots is definitely a solution. If I had an email from Adidas and said, "Look, we've got 10,000 pairs of boots that are defected. Do you want them?" It's a no-brainer. Well, of course, we'll grab those, and those will be donated into mental health groups and kids in care homes and the list goes on. But yeah, that's always been something that we would love to potentially unravel and see if we can follow some sort of leads to that. Uh, Also, the club, the federation um, should be, making this more of a high priority. Um, there's a lot of focus right now on waste in a sense of what stadiums create and stuff like that, but we're not thinking about the most important aspect of football, and it's your feet. Without your feet, you can't play football. And what do we need on our feet is football boots. So that subject, that item should be at the top of the list and go, okay, guys, these kids around here, we got 4 point, we got, I think in Europe, 90 million people play football in Europe. So from my experience, there should be 90 million pairs of football boots floating around in Europe because people buy them. And Joe, I can tell you for a fact the quality of these boots, they don't last long. So let's
Mm.
say we've got 90 million people. Let's half it by half. Let's say 45 million people right now in Europe have boots. The rest don't have boots. They use their Converse or trainers. So we've got 45 million pairs of boots floating around, and that's only if you've got one pair. From my own experience, most people have two, three, four, 5 pairs. So this number can grow dramatically. What's the solution? Throw them in a bin, or support charity boots, and we can donate them back to people that don't have. So there's the solution. The solution is pretty simple, but these conversations need to be had.
Mm.
And yeah, and I like I mentioned, the football industry needs to step up and not think about solutions. The solutions are there. Just they need to actually look and listen and see that there are people out there like myself. Um, there are small charities, but potentially we can rotate this and upscale dramatically, really quickly with the right investment and the right sponsorship and the right support. Because this is not about, yeah, here's 10,000 pairs of boots. Thank you, Adidas. It's not. This is ongoing. But
Mm.
because it's ongoing, you have to support it. It's like planting a tree. You don't just plant a tree and walk away. You have to support the tree. You have to water it. You have to put a little stick to it and come back to it 6 months later and see how the tree's doing. You have to support these things. We can't just support a great cause and then just walk away from it because I've done my bit. No, no, my bit continues. It's an
Mm.
ongoing cycle, just like life is. We need to continue supporting. So if you can help in any way possible with the right introductions or the right conversations with the right people, we can look back at this conversation one day and you see, we planted that seed, and here's the tree of life, and we supported it. Not turn our backs on it.
Definitely. And that's what the podcast is all about. It's about giving a platform for voices like yourself who are doing this amazing work. And I kind of just wanted to come back to you and kind of get your thoughts on something. When I speak to brands, they kind of off the record tell me that they would more happily destroy their product than have it donated, because if they donate it and it goes, especially within European markets, it's going to harm their new sales. It'll flood the market with old stock and it'll harm their new sales. They might be okay if it goes to third markets like, potentially Africa, but they put an embargo and they put a ban around it. What do you say to brands who kind of have that attitude?
That's a great question, and I can see where they're coming from, but they're not actually really thinking out the box here. They're looking at it from one perspective, and that's it only, which is revenue. It's a very simple solution. So the people that we come across, the people that we help, are people that can't afford.
Mm.
So we're not taking customers away from these brands because the customers are not going into the store. They're going into charity shops. They want things in a discounted version. They're not going to spend £100 in a store. They can't afford it. So there's different customers. There's customers that can afford, that never ask for charity. Even if it's a brand new pair of boots and they can afford it, they're not going to receive it from me. They don't want charity. This is all
Mm.
about helping people that can't afford it, either in Africa or in Europe. So we're not taking, the charity is alive and kicking. It's not going to go away. So they have to live with it. Charity is always going to be charity, but they have to realize that the customers that they deal with day to day in the market, either online customers or in store customers, these are customers that work or or have the means to provide for themselves and be able to purchase the boots. What we're dealing with here is the waste,
Mm.
just waste. No, we're not asking for brand new boots. If they want to donate brand new boots with no defects, fantastic, you know. But we're asking for boots that can't be sold. So what's the problem? If you can't
Mm.
sell it, give it to someone else that can use it, that doesn't question it. They won't
Yeah.
question it. Someone in Africa is not going to question a boot. Go, oh, why is this? Why is the label coming off? Or why has it got a defect? They're not going to question it. They'll appreciate it.
Mm.
So that's the answer. The answer is we're not taking customers away from people because they don't have the money. It's that simple. So
Mm.
it should be something that it should be proud of. That, hey, look, we're this brand. This is what we're doing. By the way, look, check out the contents. Check out the website. Look at the smiles on these kids' face. They made that happen.
Mm.
That's more enjoyable and more wonderful to see than just see a poster of a huge superstar football player putting a pair of boots. Nothing different. But seeing a kid in a poor country putting a brand new pair of boots or using a pair of boots that he doesn't have because they've been donated to them, that imagery is real. That child hasn't been paid to smile. He's smiling because he's genuinely happy, and
Mm.
we've made that happen. You know, so that's the answer. Really, we're not taking customers away from the big brands. They're not going to lose money. If anything, we're a solution because we're reducing their storage space, so they got more storage, even though I know they got unlimited funds. And we're the solution regarding landfill waste and like you mentioned, burning this kind of great uh, items that can be reused.
And I think there's also an argument to say that in some ways you're building that brand loyalty for them. Like if you're a kid and you get a pair of Adidas football boots and you've like scored your like first goal in those, you remember those boots. And when you can afford like new Adidas boots, that's the brand you go to. So it's short sighted to kind of think, actually, I'm going to put a barrier there to
Yeah,
that. And, a lot of this comes down to integrity in terms of if a brand really wants to make a difference, there's solutions out there like yourself that really need their help and need that collaboration
yeah.
so that you can make a true change. Um, I've absolutely loved talking to you today.
Oh, can I just add something to what you just mentioned? And it just came to me
Yeah, of
now, and
course.
it's something that, sorry, I know you're in a tight schedule.
No, don't you worry, I've got time.
Food is a perfect example to compare your question about
Mm-hmm.
boots. Just look at food and boots. It's the same thing. Now it's normal to come across a food bank. But
Mm.
there was a time where Tesco's will rather throw the food away than give it to charity so they can give it to people in deprived areas. So there's no different. A football boot or a lasagna that's going to be thrown away, it's the same thing. You're not Tesco's is not losing. I'm sorry to use the word, but Tesco's or these big supermarkets, they're not losing customers. If anything, they're gaining rep response. They're
Mm-hmm.
gaining credibility from the customers, respect, and go, oh, well done, Tesco's, for giving back. I like this. I want to affiliate myself with you more. Where the other company don't care. They don't
Mm.
really care about the community or the effects of the environment. So it's exactly that. It's we're not taking sales away from them. It's equal as the food banks you get on your local high streets. It's would you rather throw it away or would you rather give it to someone that needs it? I think to most humans out there, it's a no-brainer. You rather give it back to someone that needs them. So the sports industry, the sports textiles and that industry is exactly the same thing, same concept. You'd rather burn it, you'd be crazy to burn it, or you can actually donate it for free or small cost, whatever it is, whatever makes them happy, but at least give it back, not throw it away. I think that's quite inhumane. That's quite selfish if you think about it. I don't think you can even argue that. I don't think you can even come out with a list of arguments against that. So it's the same as food banks, really. It used to be an issue that most companies and supermarkets didn't see eye to eye, but now it's like, oh yeah, yeah, yeah. How much do you want? Yeah, I'll take it. You're helping
Mm.
us because you're helping them too. You're getting rid of their waste. So it's a win-win, really.
I love that. And I love the fact that you've said football boots are the same as lasagna, because I'm going to use that from now on in, because I thought that was a great example. But it is this idea of just normalizing a change in behavior.
Change
You
of
know, like,
behavior. Yeah.
yeah, like now we're like, obviously, like, why would you throw stuff away when it can be donated to a food bank? Like, it's just a
Hello.
no-brainer. Yeah. Whereas for clothes, we're like, oh no, it's something different. We will prefer to set this on fire than let somebody else have it.
Nothing should be set on fire right now. It's ludicrous.
It's crazy. But every second, a truckload of textiles is either incinerated or sent to landfill. And
It's
that is the scale of the problem that we're dealing
it's
with.
don't get me started on that. But I need to talk to these people because it's just not on. It's ridiculous. There's no argument. There's no even buts. There's no buts. There's no excuses. I'm sorry. There's no
Mm,
excuses. There's enough people in this world that can clothe. There's enough charities out there that will take it. They just need to be more trustworthy of people and not be so protective and say,
mm,
"Oh no, because of our brand, we have to protect our." No, that's rubbish. It's give it back, but nothing should be burnt. Those incinerating firms should be closed down now, like
mm,
shut down instantly. That can't
mm,
be the solution. The world's warming up, not cooling down. It's warming up, so we can't keep adding fuel to the fire.
mm.
Until when? Until
Exactly.
in another 10 years, guys, and then we'll think about it then. No, 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 no. It's now. It's not the solution. I'm sorry. I'd rather have a pile of clothes to find someone to take them than just burning it. That's just too easy.
Mm,
And that's the problem. Things are too easy, and no one's really looking to actually consider and think about solutions. And these people are getting paid. I don't get paid, and I'm thinking of solutions.
mm,
So imagine I was getting paid. I will have the solution. But I do have a solution for football boots. But a lot of these companies, they need to really look at themselves in the mirror and go, we're not good examples here. This can't be
mm,
the framework. We're going to look back at this in the future and go, what were you doing?
mm.
Like, what's wrong with you? That is not right. I'm sorry, and we need to voice our opinions. I'm not going to beat around the bush. Things need to be said how it is, and people
Mm,
need to be called out, and people need to take responsibility. It's okay to make mistakes. We all make mistakes. Put your hand up, and it's okay to ask for help. I need help as a charity to expand and upscale and help more people. We need help. Um, so the more people can come on board and help us, the more people we can help. It's just very simple how it works in life. So I think we need to really speak up now and put our foot down because it's now or never, Joe.
mm.
We've got kids and we've got family, and we can't look back and go, oh, maybe I should have said something. But he's a nice guy. I don't want to. No, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
We'll make changes now, and you're doing a fantastic job, by the way. So keep up your energy and keep up what you're doing, Joe, because it's great.
I will take that compliment. But, I think if you're working in this space, you do realize the urgency and the science behind what is happening. And, there's been days lately where I've woken up and just been like, I don't know if I can face it today.
Yeah.
Like, I feel like I'm just like a drop in the ocean, and am I really making a difference? And then I have conversations with people like you, and I'm like, this is amazing.
No.
There's
Yeah.
stuff happening. And so I think there is a tide that is changing.
Yeah.
But it really takes, people who have that influence, who have the decision making control in these large organizations to come on board and make it happen. And, finally, how do people get in touch with you? What is the best way, if somebody wants to collaborate, to reach out to you?
Yeah, so the most simple thing is to visit charityboots.org. That would be the most simple, more direct way to get in contact with me. They can email me. And if they have any boots, they can donate. Same again through the website. They will see the page for the link that leads them to the DHL portal. It's all official. But yeah, we're all ears. Like I said, I love working with different people, different organizations, individuals, either big corporate companies, whoever it is. It could be school teachers, head teachers, local councils, anyone from the government that's listening, potentially anyone that can actually contribute towards this. This is football we're talking about. It's the biggest industry in the world. All the big brands are involved with football, so it's a good starting point to make huge beneficial impacts in the world to help this beautiful world we live in. It's a beautiful world. It's delicate. It's stunning, and it's so rewarding, and it gives back. But we have to help. We have to help. And by myself, like you said, it's only a drop in the ocean. We can do it together for sure. But we have to be willing to work together, no matter what your agenda is. This is not about us. This is not about me as an individual. This is about the planet. This is about poverty. This is about in the environment. This is about drought. This is about food shortage. The list goes on and on and on and on, and we can only do it together. And I'm just that one piece of puzzle, which is in this case football boots, but others are doing their own thing, and whatever that is, we can support them through our networks, through our contacts, whatever that individual can do it, because that's how we make changes in life. It's not alone. It's definitely teamwork, and hopefully that's what we can do moving forward.
100%. I've literally just written down, we all have a part to play and we all need to play our part, and that's what it sounds like. We all have a responsibility to this. In some ways, some more than others, depending on your organization. But I don't think you could be any clearer in terms of, what your needs are, what help, and responsibilities others have, and, the responsibility that they have towards all that product, and also the massive changes that you're making, So anybody listening to this, please do reach out. We need everybody pushing forward in the right direction to be able to enable these massive changes that you're able to bring. So yeah, just want to say thanks so much.
No, thank you.